Yo, what's up guys? It's Brian. We're back here with another video, another install how-to video. I got my GTS on jack stands with my Edition 1 merch right here. And today we got a special video, ever since I got tuned, this stage 2 is pushing quite a bit of power. I already have the downpipes, I already have the full system exhaust that you guys seen in previous videos. It's getting a little hot. Nothing too concerning, but I always want the most optimal thing for this car. She's my baby, so I want the best for it. So I decided to go with the InterChiller, surprisingly. And don't worry, I'm gonna get the intercoolers and heat exchangers eventually. I just wanted the InterChiller because I thought it was just a quick, plug and play kind of, situation, which it kind of is for the most part. We gotta install we gotta connect it to the coolant lines, and since there's very little information on this car, it was kind of difficult to find, what coolant lines you need. Everything is just so scarce, information wise with this car, that I had to do my own personal research on, dealer software, looking through the coolant system and understanding how really this works, on an engineering level, I guess you could say. But anyway, here we got the front bumper already taken off, and for this project you will need the fender liner on the driver's side taken off and the headlight. It'll be so much easier. You do not want to make the same mistake I did and not do that because you're just gonna, the lines, AC lines are gonna route this way, and there are the AC lines over there. So it's just a lot better if you just do that. It's gonna save you a lot of headaches in the long run. So the big idea is you're gonna get this InterChiller in the mail. It's not gonna come insulated. So you may want to buy some insulation. Project Gamma says is not needed necessarily, and that's okay, but I want to keep the as much cold in as possible, keep the condensation out. So I insulated it with some foam, and then I put some heat reflective tape on it, aluminum tape, and that's been working really well. And I mounted it right here. As you can see, there's through bolts right here and right here. It's pretty much carriage bolts. You want to drill, you want to drill right here, because this InterChiller does come with brackets. I ended up not using those brackets because I had cut them and I messed them up. So that's the whole trial and error part. But I bought some $5 brackets, as you can see there. They're pretty much 4x4 post brackets that I cut in half to make a Z shape, so I could clamp the InterChiller. I also have this bracket down here that holds the InterChiller. It's kind of overkill, but that's what it did. I insulated it first, obviously. So I had to take off these bolts right here for the crash bar. You could, if you take off these two bolts and then this bolt, loosen up this one, you can actually just swivel this thing like a whole door. You can move this, you pull it out and move it like a whole door. There's gonna be some clips here that you need to remove. And for these bolts, you could just push this plastic out the way to get to them. And yeah, just pull them. I think they're 18mm bolts. Just hit the socket, get them out of there. And then this whole thing pretty much pops out. There are clips underneath here that, don't take but a second to take out. And then this, this support bar right here goes to the hood latch. So there's two 10mm bolts right here. Sorry for the mess on top of the car. I know people are gonna be like, oh, you're scratching up the car. It's fine. I'll get it detailed. I'll get a paint correction on it. So these two bolts, pull them out. It's gonna loosen this from up here. And then there's also two bolts that run right here. And let me go wide. Okay. There's two bolts that go right there. You could try to get them from the back. They're two 10mm. I was able to wiggle it out after I got these two removed. So after you do that, you can pull this crash bar out, and then you can put this on the floor. That way you could try to mount, see where it's gonna go. So that bracket I had bought right here, it's a Z bracket, and I just put it as close as I can to this bracket right here in order to just get it as far left as I could. Obviously, you can't mount the InterChiller here or here. The brackets that come with it don't really allow for that. I think this is the best way to mount it. And unfortunately, you will have to trim this air box, the air intake right here. And I mean, I put something, I put some insulation on here to prevent, just to guide the air in there. It doesn't look the prettiest, but you won't be able to see that when the bumper's in there. So, and then you want to make sure the inner chiller is, the AC lines are facing towards the radiator, and then the coolant lines are facing towards the front of the car, so towards you. And this is how you want to route them. This is the low side. This is the high side over here. You want to route them through here. You're gonna have to, there's these vents that are right here that you could just cut out, and then you want to get a hole saw bit, and then you know, cut a hole right there for this coolant lines. And there are 1316 coolant lines, or 20mm coolant lines that are factory from this car. You want to get some of those, and this kit does come with NW16 connectors. And I had to buy extra ones just because I wanted to make it look pretty. But I reached out to Project Gamma, and they're more than willing to send me extras. So, like I said, big shout out to them. They're awesome. But essentially, this is the inlet of the InterChiller, and this will be the inlet of this radiator right here, because this is low temp circuit. This is pretty much the InterChillers. I mean, the intercooler radiators. And this will be the output, which I have routed over here around the back, and I'll show you guys how I routed that. So if we go towards the driver's side, which is right here, this radiator we're looking at, this is the engine additional radiator. The main radiator for the engine is behind this one right here, this skinny one, because there's two radiators stacked on top of each other. This is the oil cooler, this is the power steering, and then the other side, the other one of these is the additional radiator for the low temp circuit. So additional one of these for this circuit. I wanted to show you guys in more detail what hoses I'm talking about, so you can replicate this at home. Let's go take a look. So guys, we're on the ground now, and this is the hose you want to tap into. This is the inlet hose, and you can honestly just not even disconnect at the radiator. There's a clamp right here you can just pull off and just tap into this hose, but that is your inlet. So guys, we're on the passenger side, and you can see my insulated hose right here, and that's gonna be your outlet right here, and it's essentially just connected. Let me move this out the way. It's connected right there. So this is the passenger side additional radiator for the low temp circuit, and it's just connected right here. You disconnect that, it just clips off. You know, it's a quick disconnect. You take that off, and then you could tap into that. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. Other than that, it fits pretty snug. Look at that, like it's right up on that bar. I didn't have to modify it much, just trim some plastic there. So guys, as I was recording, UPS actually dropped off a package, which is the extension AC line that Project Gamma was so kindly to send out. We're essentially, here's the lines. We're gonna reconnect this back, and it's just two Allens that hook back here. Let me see if I can flip the camera. Let me get it in there. They connect right there, and you can see the holes for the Allens, and then they're sized so you know you can't mess them up, right? So we'll knock that out, and then we'll get back to you. All right, guys, so it took me a little bit, maybe like 15 minutes, but I got them back connected. I forgot to mention that there's this piece of like aluminum block, CNC machined, that goes in between the connectors and the hoses. So it's pretty much female to female, and let me see if I can get you a good picture. This is what it looks like. See that block right here? Forgot to mention that, but it just pretty much all sandwiches together, and then the two, let me see if I can get a good video of it. And the two Allens you see right there just go through, and then just connect to the actual block right here. And that's pretty much it. So this is pretty much what it looks like. I have not adjusted the hoses yet, but I do want to run this one behind this coolant hose. I'll adjust this and whatnot, and I'll clean this up a little bit, you know, zip tie it, make sure there's no kinks or anything. But that'll be it for now until we get the parts in, And for me, it'll be like 2 days. For you guys, it'll be like right now. All right, guys, before I forget, let me show you how I ran the AC lines. So we ran it, the AC lines start right here, low temp and high temp. They run together through this vent right here that I cut out. It runs behind the headlight. That's why I said you had to take the fender liner and the headlight out. Really simple. It's just 3 bolts, one right here. This is the other bolt, and then the other one is right there. See that light I'm pointing at? Right there. And then with that, it just pops out. Just one connector, one connector in the back. Make sure to disconnect the battery, just in case. So you want to pull that out, set it off to the side, and then you'll have a lot more room to run it. And then you can actually even, there's 2 screws that hold this radiator in place that you could take out and move with more room without having to take off these AC lines. Not the AC lines, the coolant lines. Let me show you. There you go. That's a better picture from the inside. So that's the lines coming in behind the headlight. They run through here next to the intakes. And then they just pop out right here. There's the high side right there, low side right here. And yeah, that's pretty much how you run the lines. All right, guys, so this is a couple days later, and I wanted to show you guys how to charge the AC after you have installed the InterChiller. And essentially what you want to do is you want to grab a kit like this off of Amazon. I'll have all these links in the description below, but you'll have this gauge, and this is really what's important because this allows you to connect to the low side of the system and the high side. And then this yellow one is for the Freon, and you could pull vacuum through here. And that's the most important thing because usually with these kits, they come with a vacuum pump. And essentially with this blue one, you want to connect the blue one to this one right here. And then this red one will connect to this one. So this is the low and then this is the high. With these connections, you want to have it all the way closed, so all the way counterclockwise. That way this little valve in the center doesn't puncture the Schrader valve in there. So this is just a quick connect. So you would connect that right there. And then you would connect the red side as well on the other side. And you want to have right here, you want to have all these open. So all of these counterclockwise, both sides. You'll connect them there without turning it clockwise. So without engaging the valve in the center. You don't want to do that yet. You want to grab the yellow line, connect it to your vacuum pump. It wouldn't have this. So this is just for the to connect to the actual Freon, the cans of Freon. So you want to connect this to the vacuum pump, and then you want to pull vacuum on like immediately. So just pull vacuum. It'll pull vacuum on this hose, and then since these are open right here, it'll pull vacuum on this whole system. And since you have not turned the valve clockwise, since you have not turned this clockwise, it won't vacuum out the system yet. Obviously, you want to get the Freon recovered at a local shop before you do this. But essentially, you would have this whole system emptied out before we even started, because you need to add Freon to it. So you want to just charge the whole system as one. So after you pull the vacuum on it, and you'll know you pulled the vacuum because it will be pointing at -1 bar on both. You want to open this up, and then just enough. You don't want to open it enough. Like once you turn the valve, you'll feel this little pin right here hit the Schrader valve in there, and you'll feel the resistance in it. And then if you also look up here, since I already pulled the vacuum, you'll see it fluctuate because they will need to pull another vacuum for the whole system. So once you pull that vacuum, you want to let it sit for about 30 minutes just to make sure you get any moisture out of it. After this 30 minutes, you want to keep those connected right there. And then you want to close. So turn these clockwise right here and close the system. So you'll be holding a vacuum in his system along with these lines right here. So once you hold that vacuum, you want to leave it for another 30 to 45 minutes to make sure you're holding a vacuum and you don't have any leaks. I didn't have any leaks, so I didn't have to worry about anything. But if you do, you want to trace down that leak and try to fix it. First thing I check, if you didn't have a leak before, I check the low O-rings here and then the O-rings at the InterChiller in the front. Make sure those are seated properly and they're not pinched in any way. So after you waited 30 to 45 minutes and you have a full vacuum still and nothing has leaked out. All right, so what you want to do is you want to connect this to one of these right here, which they come with the kit I bought. And these pretty much allow you to connect the Freon bottles to it. So after you connect the valve to the hose, it's going to look like this. You want to connect this to the Freon bottle. And after you connect the Freon bottle, you want to make sure these are still closed. And you want to open this valve. So this will pretty much send this pin through the can, and then it'll allow Freon to run through it. Now the best way to do it is once that's connected and you know Freon is flowing through it, you want to come up here and see this Schrader valve right here. You want to push that in to purge any of the air, and then keep pushing it in until Freon comes out. So sometimes you may have to turn the bottle upside down just so it can purge all the air, and it should only take like a second or two. As soon as you push this valve, a bunch of Freon is going to come out, and well, a few seconds of air and then a Freon. Once that's good, you stop, you let go, and then you want to come up here and always keep this closed. This will read without this being open. So you want to slowly open the valve, letting the Freon in, and you'll see the needle spike, and then just keep adding it slowly, a little bit at a time. You don't want to overdo it. A little bit at a time because as soon as you open it, it's going to spike. Let it come down, and then you want to keep opening it until it stabilizes around 50 psi right here. It's going to stabilize around there. At that point, you want to fully open it, and then you want to have the can at like a 3 o'clock position, so like just laying parallel to the ground. And then as that's going, you're going to see this needle grow. I keep going slowly. Once you have that fully opened, it's going to take a few minutes to drain out the can, but you want to keep doing this until you get to about 200 psi or a little over 200 psi, and it's going to take a while. You're going to need 5 cans. So this is the one I use. You want 5 cans of these, 12 ounces. Normally this car takes only 640 grams. Typically with 2 of these, your car should be fine. But since we added so much lines and then it's got to fill in the InterChiller, I found that you need like 5 cans. So put in 4 full cans in it, and then you're gonna see it's gonna be slightly below 200. The 5th can, you really gotta eyeball it because it just needs a little bit of the 5th can. So you want to open like I said, just pretty much repeat, open it up slowly, and then just keep going until yours get above 200. It's gonna be very minimal. You gotta be very careful not to overfill it. If you do, you gotta purge it. But ideally, you want the air cabin inside to be about 40 degrees, and then the coolant temperature is gonna be about 49 degrees. I'll post pictures here, and you'll see what that looks like. And to switch out cans, once you notice that it's empty, you want to close it. Make sure it's closed completely, and then you open that side. So remove it from the can. It's gonna spurt out a little bit, and then you want to connect a new can, repeat it, and then purge it again because air got in it. So just be safe. Just purge it, and then slowly open it, and then just repeat that process until the internal cabin has reached 40-ish, high 40s, low 50 degrees on the lowest, and then your low temp coolant circuit has reached about 49 degrees, 50 degrees. You'll see all this start to you know, accumulate with condensation. It's gonna start sweating, and then that's how you know you've gotten right.